Hi there, my name is Shane O'Brien McDonald, and this is this is a bonus episode for Japan in 100 Dishes, and this is a bonus episode number 19. It basically covers your average Japanese coffee shop. And what I did here, this is on Google Maps. This is where I was, my starting point. We go in here, let's go into the Tokyo area. We're going to be able to see where I used to live, my old neighborhood. I just typed in the word Hiro and coffee into Google Maps. So as you can see, this is the Tokyo area here, Tokyo Bay, Yokohama, Saitama, Chiba. And we're going into the central area of Tokyo where I used to live. Keep in mind, there are coffee shops on literally every corner of of a street in Japan. Even in the middle of the nowhere, they'll find a coffee shop, which is one of those things about Japan that is fantastic. They can be quite crowded. I don't want to make it sound like it's not a crowded country, but even in a place like here in Hiro, like I used to live in this part of Ebisu, very close to it. Even in a place like this in central Tokyo, inside the Yamanote line, these coffee shops usually have a fair number of seats. Now, when I used to hang out here just before work, because I was a teacher of English, an instructor of English, but a lot of times, especially my first couple of years there, you'd have to work at night or late afternoon nights because that's when kids got off of school and people would finish their jobs. And I'd go there, just after lunch before getting on the subway or getting on the train, do my thing, study some Japanese. Starbucks was next door to where I'm going to tell you about today, and it was not that crowded, but because it had 3 floors. But I would sometimes go into the place next door, Ueshima Coffee, because it actually had better food. And this is part of the UCC chain of coffee shops. And again, this particular one didn't have UCC's been around for years, but this particular coffee shop it was very old school relative to the Starbucks, but it wasn't expensive old school. It was right next to the station, and it wasn't, again, you can see, look, it's almost written in Japanese kanji, so it's not really aimed at a young hip crew. 1933 Kobe. But you could buy a snack set or a breakfast set with, say, bread and salad and eggs and bacon and coffee for $4. Roughly. And there was even this one. This is the sandwich set, which I believe was even cheaper. This is just toasted bread. They had iced coffee, and this was like what you'd see for the snack. Right here is where you'd see the snacks they'd have available. So they do have yogurt and eclairs and cakes, and there's definitely, right here it looks like a cheesecake. This looks more like I'm going to say it's going to be sweet potato and then chocolate cake. They also have little mini salads to give away. These were probably anko. They're made of the beans. But they'd also have little small desserts here, and these looks like salads, like egg salad, although I could be wrong. And they have little pancake things, ampan. So these are small miniature pancakes with sweet bean paste inside of it. And of course a selection of sandwiches. And above, you can't really see up there, the menu, they would have 3 or 4 different sets for breakfast and lunch as well, in addition to this. But one thing about this particular coffee shop, so again, this gentleman is obviously being photographed, but the chairs were very, very comfortable. Oh my goodness, it was a very old-fashioned coffee shop. Look, they even have baskets. This is for you to put your bag in. They take a basket, put your crap in next to the table so you don't have to drape it over your chair. So this is the kind of place you were looking at. It was definitely, if you're a designer, this was a great place to look in this mid-70s Japanese coffee shop. This one, of course, because it was more traditional, unlike the Starbucks, the front part of the second floor was the smoking room. And I never saw a girl in there. It was always middle-aged men, all the time. But it was very, very comfortable booths. Absolutely. And as you go outside too, they'd have the mat, they'd have this was the sets they offered, the morning sets right here. So you can always look this up beforehand. And again, very, very, very comfortable booths. I just thought it was very comfortable chairs and cheaper than Starbucks as well, even though it was next door. Judging by the air filter, this is probably the smoking area as well. Now, one of the other major changes, this was the UCC, so Ueshima Coffee it's called. UCC is the one, you will see UCC coffee in the can a lot. Another major coffee chain is Dotor. And this one, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because the menu is in English as well as Japanese. However, they have a whole bunch of things they offer. The key thing is that when you go to a Japanese coffee shop, they're going to ask you, could I have a coffee, please? And they'll be like, hot or cold? And that's where you have to say, do you want hot or cold coffee? Here they have the fancy ones up here, the mochas. They've got blend versus American coffee, which are both drip coffees, and I can't for the life of me tell the difference. Espresso coffees as well, cappuccinos, lattes, and should be an Americano option here, although it doesn't seem to be. They have tea and cocoa. It's decaf stuff as well. They also have iced coffee, which is delicious. Again, it makes them so much more sense. They have flavored iced coffees in a glass. It's a glass, just so you know. The tapioca thing is newer to Dotour because it's become very popular. But when I lived there, this was the normal, like all these different kinds of iced coffees you could order. Keep in mind, they're not huge size. These are not super sized drinks. The cups you're seeing, they're going to be $4, maybe $5. So that's why they don't have the prices. But they are not the cheapest. Their food selection is somewhat better. Again, most people I would there would buy one of these sandwiches. They're probably $3 or $4. They're not bad. But if you're really cash strapped and you need something, you can order just toast. Think about that. Like the croque monsieur is common and whatnot, and so is the cheese toast, but if you just want toast. And that's as far as I think we need to take this one, because it is in English with Dotour. But keep in mind, very small coffee sizes compared to Starbucks, both of these places. But they will never kick you out. You could stay there for 3 days. They will never kick you out. So, well, don't stay for 3 days, but 3 hours, and then you can find them pretty much anywhere. Again, Starbucks is typically going to be more for like younger people, whereas Dotour and UCC, you're going to find more older, especially with the smoking section, Japanese men. But this is a good guide for you to start out to. So until next time, sayonara.